Okay, so in this video, we're going to put together our angel card, and we're going to begin by just folding the main part of the card in half here. And I'm just going to take a little dowel to the edge of this and kind of flatten out those score lines. Okay, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. And this card's pretty simple, just like the other two in this bundle, so no reason why you can't make all three varieties as your Christmas cards for this year, as I'm planning to. So we've got this vanilla piece. We're going to get that glued in place here. You'll notice that there are 4 little score marks there, and that is to help you identify the placement. Okay, and go ahead and put my glue on the back of this. Just make it real thin. You don't want to put too much glue on here because it may warp the paper and make it a little unsightly. You want to keep it nice and clean. I'm just kind of holding it like this at this little point, and just do your best to get that nice and lined up with the little notch there. And just push that down. You can also do a print-to-cut on this, and this is perfect for journaling or stamping, writing a little message, whatever it is you want to do. Okay, and then we're going to take the colored part that looks just like that, and we're going to get that glued onto here. Okay, and what I'm going to suggest you do is start with just a little bit of glue around the perimeter here. Okay, and spread it nice and thin, and then maybe just a few dots along the actual design itself so it doesn't peel away from this area here. And then I'm also going to, I want my texture side facing out. I'm going to put a little bit of glue around the perimeter of this too, because I really don't know how far this is going to extend. So I want to make sure that I get it right. Okay, so I'm just going to grip it just like I did before, using those little notches there as a guide to get that nice and centered, and just push. Give that a few seconds to really set. Okay, we can open this up, or close it I should say. Take a look at the front of it. Should look just like that. Okay, and the next step is to take this piece here. Now, one thing you want to do is kind of flip this around until you see that you find the 2 sides that look like this area here is the same width. Those are your left and right sides, and then find the 2 sides where one area looks a little bit thinner than this other area. This is the bottom here. This is where we're going to hot glue our little bow, and we want it like this. Okay, so keep that in mind. And we are using foam squares for this. And I'm going to put and start with 1 in each corner. Okay. And then I want to add more support to this along the inner portions. And I think 3, 6, I think 8 is probably enough. So go ahead and peel the backing off and get this in place. Make sure your fingers are nice and clean if you're using foil so you don't smudge it up. Make sure you don't get any glue on your fingers as you're doing this. Luckily, we're not using glue, we're using foam squares to dot this. Okay, I'm just taking all the backing off. All right, and one more time here, just make sure that it's thinner up here and thicker down here so that as I place this, you can get a nice visual, and make sure that it's nice and symmetrical all the way around. Okay. Now we're going to take this piece here, and it's kind of the same situation here. Look for the thinner area up here, thicker area here. These 2 sides should be identical, and we're going to add some foam squares to the back of this. So you're only using glue like 3 times for the entire assembly of this thing, including the envelope. So it's kind of nice. It makes it pretty quick. You can definitely take an afternoon and breeze through probably, I don't know, maybe 10 of these in a couple hours, maybe more, depending on who's helping you and if you figure out a nice little assembly line sort of thing. If you can get that going, you can really breeze through these. Maybe get your husband or wife to help you out. I'm going to add 2 more of these along the inside of this little section here to stabilize that a little bit more. Okay, again, I'm going to flip this over. Just make sure that you've got the top and bottom should be thin and a little bit thicker. These 2 sides should be equal. Stand up just to make sure that I'm getting a nice perfect ring all the way around. And this stuff loves to stick to foam, so make sure you've got it nice and lined up before you really put it down, and that looks good. So one thing you can do too, which I actually should have done before I put this down, I have a little bit of turquoise ink, and I did this with the last one. I totally forgot to do it on this one, so I got to be even more careful here. I'm going to dab a little bit of ink on this. I'm going to rub some of it off because I got way too much on there, but I want it really embedded into the fibers on my little applicator here, and I'm just gonna hit the edges of this just to kind of add a little pop of color to the edge of this that coordinates with the inside. And then we're gonna when I'm done here, I'm gonna embellish this with some rhinestones in these little 4 corners here, and seal it with a bow and call it a day. Just want to add a little touch of color to this. This paper is that iridescent sort of paper that's white, and it kind of almost looks like snow. So it's very appropriate for this sort of card. Looks very festive and seasonal, and I think your recipients will love it. And I think you're going to especially love how quickly it goes together. Okay, so there is the card. Again, little rhinestones here in the corners, and then I'm gonna have a separate video on how to put the bow together, so look for that. But the card's pretty much done. Okay, and let's take a look at the envelope. Okay, so here's our envelope, and what you want to do is begin by just folding everything at the score marks here. Get it nice and folded. These especially, you want to get a really good fold on these. Oops, what was that? Get those nice and folded. Get some pressure on there. And then if you want to, you can even just take the edge of the dowel and kind of push those little parts of the score marks that are protruding, flatten it out a little bit. It just makes it look a little more polished. Okay. We'll do that to this side as well. It just flattens it out and makes it look nice. Okay. All right, so we've got this little piece here to add a little pop of color to the actual flap. And what we're going to do is just grab our glue, work that glue right along the perimeter. Just very thin amounts of glue here, and then just kind of sprinkle a little bit of glue on the inside there. And I'm going to actually dab that a little bit. I just don't want it to warp. So I'm going to spread it a little thin. And then grab your colored piece and pop it right on the back there. Make sure you've got a nice little even border going all the way around, and just push that down into place. And just hold that. Give it a few seconds to dry, and then that's what it should look like on the front. And then, the beauty of this one piece envelope is not having to glue all that much. Okay, but we're going to do this in one fell swoop here, so I'm going to get my glue on there, and then I am going to thin this out and work it out to the edge so it looks nice and professional and perfect. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fold this over, close it up, Just make sure that it's nice and lined up. You may need to nudge it just a tad. And then just apply some pressure. Get that glue in between all those paper fibers and let it set. And your envelope is ready to go. It'll fit your card perfectly. And again, just don't forget to add a little bling, and if you want to put a bow at the bottom, I highly recommend it. It'll look really cool. So again, look for that separate video for the bow procedure, and your card is ready to go.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.